go.
Let's do
Episode
it.
5.
Welcome to the Money Storm Show. This is a place of discussion about all things money and how to weather that financial storm. Without further ado, these are your hosts, Chet and Larry. You have Chitanya Monga, otherwise known as Chet, the founder of Brightcap Financial, a commercial and alternative mortgage brokerage. You also have Larry Heron, the founder of a mortgage brokerage which specializes in residential mortgages nationally.
Yes, sir. Hey, guys. Welcome back. Thank you, Chet, for the introductions.
Absolutely.
We are back at on episode 5 now. Want to thank everybody for coming back and tuning in. You know, we've been doing a lot of episodes on budgeting, rate talk, finance talk, inflation talk, and
Absolutely.
a lot of helpful tips on budgeting and stuff. But really talking about not spending and how to restructure finances.
Right.
So today we want to do something different and fun, something exciting, because the fact of the matter is that there's still opportunities out there. People are still buying. So for episode 5, Chet and I decided to do our top 5 places to invest for 2023.
Yeah.
Because, we still want to shed light on that, right, Chet?
Absolutely. Yeah. So 2023 in BC, right? Kind of for just our hindsight, our personal opinions, what are some best locations. We'll cover residential, we'll cover commercial. Just our personal opinions, nothing else but that.
Yeah, for sure. Good point, Chet. These are, our own personal opinions. Of course, some collective data and some research experience, history is backed with this stuff. So, but yes, it's our personal opinions. So I'll lead it off with my top 5.
Sounds great.
So guys, I'm going to be sharing where I feel the top 5 places to invest in British Columbia for 2023 in the residential market. I do want to make one thing clear, is that the cities and the places that I have selected, you could look at it in any way. It could be owner occupied. It could be as a revenue property to rent out. When I'm buying a property, I like to have the versatility of both those options. For me personally, you never know when, you might have to move to another city or so. So my options are open for that, but I've kept in mind that, the rental market is strong here and, living in there is a good place. So all that combined.
Yeah.
Number 1, I'm going to lead the charge with the city of Surrey. So there's a lot of reasons why I think city of Surrey is going to be, in my opinion, the best place to invest in 2023. It's because it's still one of the fastest growing cities in Canada. And the thing that stands out to me the most is by 2029-ish or 2030,
right,
we are expected to surpass Vancouver's population.
Absolutely. Population's a large factor when it comes to prices in residential markets and things of that nature.
For sure.
Just because there's more demand automatically the moment we have more population, right? And with more demand, we need more supply to balance things out.
Absolutely. And one thing that we can't create more of anywhere on the planet is more land.
Yeah, very
right?
true.
So if population is going to keep going that way, and
Right.
Vancouver is big bad Vancouver, right? One of the most marketed cities in the country.
You're right.
So and we're about to pass that. So media is going to gain coverage on that.
Yeah.
And it's going to be headlines. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's going to be a real tipping point, turning point for Surrey.
Yeah.
So I feel like getting in now is still going to be a great time. And if you're in the city of Surrey, you should stay in the city of Surrey and buy in Surrey. Right?
Yeah.
I've still got some more points to touch on, but
No, Surrey's a great investment, right? Like great investment location, right? Yeah. I've invested in Surrey, you've invested in Surrey, we all live in Surrey, right? So we understand the advantages, the economic perspective, and multiple different things we're looking at. Surrey has a lot more land than Vancouver as well, which is another point. I'll let you keep on going. So I'm going to cut on some of your points.
few more points on Surrey is, us passing Vancouver, it's huge. 2029 is, just about 6 years away. And that's just a projection. Could happen sooner or later. We don't know. Number 2 is the town center plans. We're moving in the direction of Vancouver almost as well. Within our Surrey, we've got, I guess, like major bureaus. Absolutely. Almost like New York City.
Yep.
How they've got their 5 major bureaus, right? We've got, Guildford,
right?
Semiahmoo here,
right?
You've got Fleetwood,
yep.
You've got Newton,
right?
And these ones that I mentioned right here, they're all going to have new town center plans.
Right.
So Samiamu Town Center Plan has been approved by January 1st, 2023.
Okay.
Newton Town Center Plan is already underway. Fleetwood Town Center Plan is all underway.
Right.
So Surrey is going in a direction where it's going to be so convenient.
Right.
There's going to be a city center right next to you, and the live, work, play
That's the model we're following.
That's the model we're following.
Yeah.
And the transit, the sky trains, the access to Vancouver, Langley, the border, U.S. border.
It's going to be very seamless.
It's going to be awesome. And third point, I love our partners through Dominion Lending, Rue.ca, but Rue's always dropping awesome stats. And in 2023 already, in the first couple of months, the 5 most searched neighborhoods in Surrey were Cloverdale, Fleetwood, Fraser Heights, Guildford, and Clayton. And I just want to say Cloverdale because a few episodes ago we were talking about Cloverdale, getting the steepest price reduction. So it makes sense that search is high.
Right.
So all these reasons, these neighborhoods in Surrey, the city of Surrey is still going to give you appreciation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So those are some of my reasons why.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And then just to say the fact that Cloverdale, I find it to be a really attractive market for the reason that there are plans in place for a brand new hospital being introduced into Cloverdale. There's major development coming there with regards to industrial space, regards to office space. And then additionally, just like how there's all these models coming into place, live, work, play model, in Cloverdale, there is also an ice and sports complex, which is just being built as of right now. As well.
Yeah.
So
and if you're from Surrey, you know that Cloverdale's mini little town center is also quite vibrant. And a pretty cool road.
Yeah. So yeah, lots of points there. And I just want to say that Surrey is just overall a great market. We do have a lot more per capita space compared to other cities like Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
But that's distributed amongst different neighborhoods, different asset classes, and so many different types of investment opportunities.
Yeah.
So
Surrey gives you everything. For the
Right.
high investor, you've got waterfront properties,
Right.
access to beach properties,
Yeah.
Large acre lot properties, acreage properties. So you've got every
We got
class.
everything. Yeah.
And then, like you said, you've got the small single families, every single class. So
Right.
that's Surrey. Recap population.
Yeah.
The multiple town center plans.
Right.
And the recent price dip.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are my reasons. Number 2, I want to move on to my second best investment for 2023 is going to be Kelowna. So Kelowna, there's a few reasons for that. Kelowna is still right now is the fastest growing city in Canada.
Right.
For multiple reasons. People within that Kelowna Okanagan region,
Right.
Penticton, Osoyoos, what have you, they are moving into Kelowna.
Yep.
Right. People are moving into that city. There's a lot of growth happening there.
Yep.
The council and the city there is very forward thinking. They
Mm-hmm.
have been for the last 7 years, coming out with their town center plan, skyline plan.
Right.
And it's, in my opinion, the second best waterfront area
Right.
in BC here.
Yeah.
Next to Vancouver.
Next to Vancouver.
Right.
All right.
So it's some are calling it the Hawaii of Canada. I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
But cool nickname.
Yeah.
I've also heard of Kelowna-fornia.
Yeah.
I can vibe with that one because the beaches and the vibe there.
The beaches in the bud, right?
Yeah, and it's just got that sandy vibe, and the Lake Okanagan is
amazing. We all go to Kelowna in the summertime.
It's amazing,
right? Yeah.
And then there's the marketing for Kelowna, right?
Yeah.
Across Canada, people are getting priced out in Ontario, British Columbia, even in Montreal.
Yeah.
There's within our country a migration happening to Kelowna,
Right.
Right? People with big pockets from Ontario and BC are thinking I can take a 50% reduction on my waterfront property and move to Kelowna. So there is a lot of in-country migration.
Yeah. There's a lot of Alberta oil money in there in Kelowna as well.
Is that right?
Yeah. So just because it's kind of in the way in transit to Vancouver, so it's kind of like just in the middle. It's perfect. It's access to the Lower Mainland. It's access to the Alberta space as well. So it just holds a lot of strategic positioning for the location wise of where Kelowna is, right, and what it provides.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a beautiful city. There's
Yeah.
still there's been a recent price dip there as well.
Right.
So those are my points there. Just fastest growing city,
Right.
And the vibe.
Right. Right.
Hawaii, Canada, Kelowna, I'm with all that.
Yeah.
I myself invested there a few years ago as well.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays out. Number 3, I'm going to go with East Vancouver. Few reasons. Number 1, it's Vancouver.
Yep.
Vancouver is still going to be and always will be.
Still got that name in
It's got the name.
in the title, right?
It's got the name in the title.
Yeah.
And, you know, Vancouver, East Vancouver's got a really old school, hip, cool culture.
Right.
Right. If you actually know about kind of, East Vancouver's history and culture.
Right.
So, but more importantly, East Vancouver's price, median house price, is lower than the North Shore,
Right.
lower than Richmond, lower than other parts of Vancouver,
Right.
and even Burnaby.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of opportunity there that you might get an old I don't want to use the word maybe grungy, but an old beat down kind of house or a neighborhood. But
Right.
East Vancouver is on the verge of getting cleaned up. You
Yeah.
know, Vancouver is still on the greenest city, is trying to be the greenest city in the world.
Absolutely.
And they will extend that reach,
Right.
and get into East Vancouver.
Yeah.
So
and at the end of the day, Vink, just want to say that like you talk about other neighborhoods within Vancouver, talk about other cities that are nearby. It's important to note that Vancouver has such a small per capita land space available again,
Yeah.
right?
And
And it's the last kind of community in Vancouver to have that space. So what's naturally going to happen? Supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be the demand for it. If people want to live in Vancouver but cannot afford these high prices, they will have to go to East Van. That area will be redeveloped, right? It will be cleaned up, and overall supply will have to meet demand in the middle. And eventually those prices will rise, right? And
Yeah.
they'll peak up to those higher median prices.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed, Chet. That's a great point. There is only so much land you can make.
Only so
And
much
land. East Vancouver's not going to get any more.
We're landlocked, right?
Yeah.
Pure and simple. We have the mountains, we have the beaches, and then there's water, right? Like
Yeah.
we can't really go anywhere.
Absolutely. And it's Vancouver.
Right.
Like you said, it's got Vancouver in it. So
Yeah.
East Vancouver is number 3 on my list. And number 4, we touched on North or Burnaby in the East Vancouver talk. So number 4 is North Burnaby.
All right.
Specifically Brentwood Park area. Again, back to rue.ca.
Yep.
In 2022 in Burnaby,
Right.
the most researched or searched neighborhood was Brentwood Park.
I mean,
In Burnaby.
Yeah.
Number 2 was like SFU,
Yeah.
Metrotown.
Yeah.
Number 2 was SFU, and Brentwood was number 1.
I love it, honestly, because like when you go to Brentwood, you feel the vibe. You feel
Yeah.
like you're almost in a mini downtown, right? It's got that an atmosphere, and it's starting to have that atmosphere with the restaurants,
Yes.
the ease of walkability, and all those things, and these massive buildings coming up, right? So
Brings me back to an old memory. You
Yeah.
and I,
Yeah.
we went on a work event
we did.
out to that Brentwood area
I
in
remember.
like 2017.
Yep,
Or, right?
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
Pretty
about
close,
2017 or
18.
2017 or 18.
Yeah.
And Brentwood was just on the rise.
Yep.
And now, fast forward 5 years later,
Yeah.
here we are talking about how cool it is. So
Yeah.
that was a cool flashback.
Yeah.
But Brentwood, like Chet said, North Burnaby, I've got number 3 on my list. Brentwood specifically, I think it's just going to be a beautiful, vibrant area. It's close proximity to downtown, and I know some investors. I've funded some deals out there. Some of the Brentwood towers, with the northern view, you get to see Vancouver and the mountains. It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Some of the views in that area, I always used to tell one of my old clients who lives in North Burnaby, I used to tell him that you have the trifecta view.
Right.
And what I meant by that is there's certain pockets in the areas in North Burnaby in the Brentwood Park area that you get 3 skyline views. You get downtown Vancouver, Brentwood as well, and then Metrotown. And if you've ever seen that, it's stunning. I just love my skyline distant views.
Absolutely.
So I just think that North Burnaby, I've always been a big fan. It's definitely beautiful. The growth of downtown, I think, Surrey downtown is coming up, but I think Willingdon area and North Burnaby is gonna get more action and more new restaurants and a little bit more vibrancy, a little bit faster because of its close proximity to the highway, Vancouver downtown, and the mountains.
And honestly, just a sense of community and that vibrant environment itself, right?
And it's more established city.
It's got that flair too, though, right?
Yeah.
Like you feel it when you step foot in Surrey downtown. it's very different than how
Very
they feel,
different. We
right?
don't have a footprint
Yeah.
yet.
We don't have an entertainment district, right? Whereas
Yeah.
Brentwood it all feels centered around entertainment, and that's key, right?
And
Because-
restaurants aren't coming to Surrey yet.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I don't know why. I mean, there's, when that happens,
Right.
that's when you know that, you kind of have a real city, right?
Absolutely, because you're in the community, right? It's that live, work, play, all kind of folding and working together to create that environment. And Brentwood's really starting to have that feeling, and we're a little bit behind in Surrey, but I think
Yeah.
we'll catch up maybe in the
Yeah,
next
I
few
agree.
years, right?
Like, I mean, take our, superstar restaurant,
Yeah.
Cactus Club, for example.
Yeah.
I always like to use Cactus Club as a benchmark
Right.
because they're in every major city
Yep.
and they get in
Right.
when they know it's the time.
Yep.
They're not in Surrey.
Nope, they're not.
They're not in Surrey downtown in the
Nope.
city core.
Yep.
They're in South Surrey,
Right.
rightfully so, and then they've got one in North Delta, but it's
Right.
not a Surrey address.
That's not.
Brentwood does have one. So the point is not just Cactus, but when restaurants and world-class chefs
Right.
start to think, hey, let's go there, that's when I feel like you have a city, and that's already happening in
Absolutely.
Brentwood.
Yeah.
So, that specific area, I love it. Number 5, I've got Abbotsford. I call them like the King of the East,
Right.
Fraser Valley Kingpin, right? Even though Surrey is classified in Fraser Valley as well, but we're talking, let's say, Abbotsford, Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows, Chilliwack onwards.
Right.
And I think people even from a little bit even further east that might not have, call it the pockets,
Right.
the ability or the depth to go further for their commute and work related wise. So I think the landing is going to be Abbotsford.
Right.
So I'm calling them kind of like the King of the East because there's going to be everything that you want that a city gives you: schools, high schools, hospitals,
Right.
commerce, growth, opportunity.
Right.
I think Abbotsford is going to get a lot of Fraser Valley, Lower Mainland migration just because people won't want to go too far.
I agree.
For going too far in respect towards Chilliwack.
Yeah.
So they'll stop at Abbotsford.
Yeah.
And then people coming from that way
Right.
won't want to pass Abbotsford because
Yeah.
of price limits.
Yep.
So I feel like that's going to be a good holding spot. And
Absolutely.
I think Abbotsford's going to have a big uptick.
Yeah.
So I've got them at number 5.
I think Abbotsford, it still feels like that suburban community at the end of the day, right? Like in Surrey and in Brentwood, all these different locations. Like we have towers coming up, and it's got that
Yeah.
like now we're trying to create the live work play model, 5 different like communities and
Yes.
neighborhoods, right? But in Abbotsford, to me, at the very least, still seems like that suburban kind of model, and it feels that way a little bit more, right?
Yeah, Chet, you're right. It's more, let's call it more country.
Yeah.
It's still scenic,
Right.
serene,
Yeah.
kind of peaceful.
Yeah.
Let's not forget you've got the U.S. border still 5 minutes away as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
That's very
Like
true.
Is it 2 exits or
Yeah, I think
Sumas?
Abbotsford Sumas border, right?
Yeah. So you've got that, and
Right.
then you've got the eastern, Cultus Lake, Chilliwack. So
Mhm.
you've got amenities and local getaways next to you, and then Vancouver's only 30 minutes away, or maybe an hour away, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So Abbotsford's at number 5. So Chet, I'll just recap my top 5 before we move on to your list.
Yeah.
So guys, I just recapped where I feel in 2023, just my personal opinion. I've selected a list for my top 5 places to invest in 2023. At number 5, I've got Abbotsford. I'm calling them the King of the East. And then number 4, I've got North Burnaby, but specifically the Brentwood Park area, the most searched neighborhood in Burnaby for 2023 thus far on rue.ca. Number 3, I've got East Vancouver, cheaper median home price than Burnaby, Richmond, the North Shore, and it's in Vancouver. East Vancouver's got a strong, rich history and culture. I think there's a lot of uptick there, and rent prices in Vancouver are phenomenal. So number 3, East Vancouver. Number 2, I've got Kelowna. Kelowna is labeled as Canada's Hawaii. Maybe not, but it's also got a nickname of Kelowna-fornia, fastest growing city in Canada, and a lot of migration coming this way. And in my opinion, the second best waterfront property area in BC next to Vancouver. Number 1, Surrey, BC. It's going to surpass Vancouver in population by 2029 or 2030. That's when the city is going to make headlines. There's going to be appreciation. There's going to be job growth. I'm a big believer in Surrey, always have been and always will be. So I've got them at number 1, right? So
great.
That is my list there. Now, moving on to commercial investments.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
some bright cap financial insight. We're going to move on to Chet's top 5 list, but this is going to be a little bit more in depth. So investors, listen up. This is going to be Chet's top 5 on the commercial side of things.
Absolutely.
So if Chet's got disposable income, or if I've got access to his checkbook, or where am I cutting out checks to, my friend?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I'm gonna create a little bit more hype. I'm gonna go for number 5 first. Work my way down to number 1.
You know what, Chet? I wish I had done that, but I couldn't stop.
All
That's
good,
why I
all
had to do my recap.
all good, all good.
You're a smart man.
Yeah. So number 5, I'm gonna start off with Okanagan country, right?
Okay.
So what I'm talking about here is Kelowna, Kamloops, right? I've kind of merged them two together, and the reason for that is I kind of classified them very similar, to be very similar markets. Kelowna, of course, has seen a lot more attraction over the just last little bit. It's it's building towers, it's doing condos. There's a lot of different types of investment happening there. First of all, I just quickly want to say that in the commercial world, there's a few key asset classes that I'm kind of viewing here and basing this strategy off of, right? So that's primarily industrial, retail, and multifamily, right? So we're basing this off of cap rates. We're basing this off of population growth, which are kind of the main factors in the commercial world. So number 5, Okanagan country, Kelowna, Kamloops area. Kelowna has seen a lot of growth. We used to see cap rates at the 6%, 5% mark, and what we have seen as of lately is cap rates have been decreasing to 4%, which indicates capital appreciation and increase in values, right? So Kelowna overall is a strong market, poised for growth with this massive expansion of UBCO, with just it being Kelowna. It's
huge UBC campus coming in.
Absolutely.
Forward city, forward thinking council.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and on top of that tourism sector is still there as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of industries that exist out there, the vineyards, the farms, which create endless job opportunities, and more companies are investing into Kelowna as a secondary kind of market as well.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't even touch on the amenities, the Kelowna's amenities, world-class amenities.
World-class amenities, right? So
skiing, yeah.
Absolutely. So Kelowna's been growing across the board, lots of space for further growth. Kamloops, I feel like, trails a little bit behind when it comes to Kelowna, just because it didn't see that significant appreciation that Kelowna did. However, we're still inching towards those 4% rates and getting closer and closer to. Now, I strongly believe that Kamloops can be a stronger city. We'll see retail, we'll see multifamily climbing up higher and higher, and these prices appreciating further. With these cap rates decreasing and these values appreciating further. If you look at Kamloops downtown, it's one of those neighborhoods that hasn't really appreciated as much in relevance to the residential markets, right? So traditionally, commercial does lag a little bit behind residential markets when it comes to these capital appreciations, and that's natural just because commercial is more of a steady market and more like base market, right?
Yeah.
So I do think the Kamloops and Kelowna are great markets to invest in.
Any thoughts on Penticton, which is also waterfront, and I'm a big fan of it. I love it.
Penticton is amazing. I've never been. I've heard great things about it. But realistically speaking, there are asset classes which are doing significantly well in Penticton. Primarily, what I know of, the multifamily and the industrial part of Penticton. Industrial across the board.
0% vacancy in Penticton.
Yeah, the vacancy rates are absurdly low, right? And that's across the board. Kamloops, Kelowna, and Penticton all have very low vacancy rates. Penticton will still have higher cap rates right now than Kamloops and Kelowna does, but that's a good sign. That means that it's kind of ripe for that opportunity for growth. And as Kamloops grows, Penticton will follow as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
Because
Kelowna surrounded by
is
water.
So pricey, and there is some movement going that way from locals, unfortunately. And Kelowna's getting filled with others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it is poised for growth. I mean, it depends across the different asset classes, but across the board, industrial is doing absurdly well. Multifamily is doing absurdly well in these 3 regions as well. And as Kelowna and Kamloops become more tourist destinations, more business-oriented destinations, as well as businesses are setting up locations there, the retail sector will shoot off as well. And those cap rates will decrease, capital appreciation in the values itself. So great location in my opinion, and a great place to invest.
Absolutely.
You touched a bit about Kelowna as well with regards to the residential factor.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a correlation there
Yeah.
because if there's a strong migration of population coming into Kelowna that
Absolutely.
are filling up multifamily homes
Yep.
and stuff like that, so it makes sense.
Just perfectly makes sense, right? And as the population grows in just across the board with commercial, as the population grows, automatically prices are likely to increase, right? So there's a direct correlation there, and Kelowna's a beautiful city. Kamloops is a beautiful city. I love the Okanagan. Like I
love
go
it.
every summer, right? So
Yeah.
so it's definitely a great location.
I think when it's all said and done, Kelowna is, going to have a, maybe like our South Beach kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be beautiful. Honolulu kind of vibe. Maybe
Right.
that's why they call it Hawaii Canada, because
Yeah.
our beach line and skyline is right there. So when it's all done, it's going to be gorgeous.
Absolutely. I touched a little bit earlier with regards to beaches and pod, right?
Yeah.
And it was to say that Kelowna actually, it was rated, I believe, as one of the best climates to grow cannabis products in, right? So Kelowna's cannabis industry is growing significantly. There's more and more, planters distribution happening in that network, which will create more jobs as well, which
Exactly.
will increase these
Yeah.
rates. And
create more jobs,
yeah.
bring in more tourism,
absolutely.
and all that. So
Yeah, it's Kelowna-fornia, right? So
Kelowna, I can't wait to go there in July.
yeah, me too. So moving on to the next one. Number 4 for me is Chilliwack. I've kind of dived into the market a little bit, taken a look at it, like looked into it more detail, and what we're seeing is like the vacancy rates are so low in Chilliwack, right? Especially across the industrial and multifamily sectors. So like, look, vacancy rates are so absurdly low, and realistically, a few years ago, what had happened was Chilliwack was just a normal kind of community, right? And then what Molson did, they relocated their big plant from Kitsilano, made the move, and made headlines with their transition
And
to Chilliwack.
people went bonkers.
It created
I remember
this
Molson just
frenzy, right? Of and FOMO for people not wanting to miss out on this investment opportunity. So what
a
happened?
lot of Fraser Valley investors went
absolutely
went out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the real estate market peaked on the residential side, right? We saw homes going from, they were worth what, 500,000 to being worth 800, 900, $1 million, right? So we saw that absurd growth in Chilliwack.
Now they've got that, I think, 25 to 30% dip in Chilliwack at this moment. So
exactly,
right?
Yeah, but from the elevated
amount, right?
values, right? So, but regardless, like just like I said, in the commercial world, commercial lags behind residential in all fronts. It's a more steady market. It catches up to the demand that's there for these products. And as Molson relocated and made that move as well, it's important to say when the floods happened, just as of recently as well, in the Abbotsford Chilliwack area, a lot of the logistics are based out of the Surrey region, Surrey, Vancouver kind of region. Logistics meaning trucking companies, transportation companies.
Okay, yeah.
When these floods happened, a lot of them are actually realigning and thinking about relocating to Chilliwack, or have centers and areas where they can operate out of in Chilliwack, because it's connected to the BC interior. It's connected to Alberta, right? So they can still continue to do business. It's a more poised location in that way. If you cannot get access to the Lower Mainland, for whatever reason, maybe another natural disaster or whatever it may be, and traffic hours crazy as well, right? When you're coming from Chilliwack into our Lower Mainland area, so that area is growing.
That's a very good point, Chet.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like the flood was a one-time thing.
No, yeah.
It will happen again, sadly, unfortunately. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, so lots of logistics companies are setting up bases there, which is growing the industrial area significantly well in that community. And over time, as the other industries grows, industrial grows, multifamily is growing, right? People are getting priced out of markets like Surrey, like Abbotsford, like Maple Ridge, and moving out further where homes are still a little bit more affordable. Right. So, and the new work from home model just allows more capability of that. And there's some nice neighborhoods in Chilliwack with the pristine mountains all around.
Yes,
and it's got that nice feeling, right?
Absolutely.
So Chilliwack is top of my list as well for number 4.
Staying on Chilliwack, I had a lot of my clients that were, very committed on buying properties
Right.
in the downtown core of Chilliwack
Right.
for potential, higher density, opportunities.
Yeah.
You want to touch on that a little bit? How the downtown core in Chilliwack is still doing, or
Yeah. I mean, downtown core in Chilliwack is kind of old and dainty at the moment, right?
it's a long-term hold
It's a
if you pick up
long-term
like a
hold,
property.
right? Like there are still pretty good cap rates, and it's still so closely located in the Lower Mainland that vacancy rates remain so low as well. But overall, like I would say, it's a long-term hold. They're poised for growth, and especially in the commercial world when it comes to high density plays. But again, we have to make sure that there's enough demand for the supply that's going to be coming as well. So over the next little bit, like I do feel that there's gonna be more neighborhood community plans that the Chilliwack Chilliwack Council will be releasing as well, so we can see more growth in higher density areas, kind of like we've seen in Surrey. Surrey's
Yeah.
gotten to a point where we're having these live, work, play models. Eventually, like all these cities will start doing the same models in the same manner,
Yeah.
and will be poised for growth through these high density neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And these
Everyone's
different
going to
things.
follow Vancouver's lead, right?
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
inevitable.
I mean, and at the end of the day, like we only have so much land once again, right? If we can't go across, we're gonna go up, right? So
Yeah.
that's really it. So
Makes sense.
yeah. So number 4 is Chilliwack. Number 3 for me is Mission, right?
Yes.
It's Mission.
I like it.
I love Mission.
For commercial, absolutely.
Right. So yeah, exactly. So Mission is very small right now, right? In terms of its active community, in the sense of like the downtown core, and kind of like it's got that one strip across Lougheed Highway, right? Kind of just
Okay.
where all that main population is, where of all that, like it's all centered there. Everything is there. Entertainment is there, right?
Okay. I personally,
Yeah.
40 years of living here, have not traveled that road yet, but
You have
maybe I
not.
will one day.
Maybe you'll one day. Maybe you'll one day, right? So that's that main area in Mission, but Mission is growing significantly into other areas. There's an area in Mission called the Silverdale neighborhood,
Mhm.
right? And the city of Mission has been developing this plan for over like 50, 60 years now, to create a higher density neighborhood. It covers over 3,400 acres
For the Silverdale area?
for the Silverdale
Okay.
area, right? So with Mission, my thought process is a little bit different than our standard cap rates or and the low vacancy rates, growing population. But over time, what's naturally going to happen is Mission is poised for growth because there are these new plans in place
Mhm.
for higher density neighborhoods. There's multifamily coming into the mix, lots of single family coming. They're expected to house over 50,000 residents, right, in that community as well.
And
So
immigration is helping with
Immigration-
those
absolutely.
expectations.
absolutely, immigration is helping with those expectations, and overall it's growing so quickly that people are kind of running away from these higher price cities, the Vancouver, the Surreys of the world, and are relocating to a little bit more budget friendly cities and
Yeah,
neighborhoods.
I mean, Mission is not too far away.
It's not too far away.
Coquitlam, Maple Ridge, beautiful cities.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of lakes, a lot of outdoor
A
activities.
lot of outdoor activities, right?
Now,
so-
affordability, touching on Mission, your choice here.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about a condo townhome affordability comparison to some other cities?
Yeah, I mean, right now, so Mission is such a small community, right? Just because it's seeing that growth as of recently, but of course, like it wasn't always like this. So right now, like Polygon's a major developer in Mission, right?
Mhm.
And they had some townhomes that were sold, I believe, last year, around that $830,000 mark. And at that time, these other townhomes were priced a lot higher, right? Priced at 950, a million, right? In the Lower Mainland. So what I'm trying to
And
say
we're
here
referring to 3 to 4 bedroom townhomes.
is 3 to 4 bedroom townhomes, right? So Mission is better priced. It's more cheaper priced, and that's for the distance, right? As to how far you are from the Lower Mainland, and kind of where just the economy sits today, as we expect more and more immigration to come into Mission. But right now, it's such a small community, and it's going to grow slowly, but it will get there, right? So
Is
there,
it safe to say it's significantly cheaper than like a Burnaby, Surrey, or
Absolutely.
a Langley?
yeah, much cheaper than than those, right? By comparison, and of course, more footprint. It's a larger area in terms of land capacity, as well. So we'll slowly see growth in that way, whether it's into these higher density neighborhoods, which are more affordable. The city of mission and their council is actually in support of more higher density neighborhoods as well, because they want to make it more affordable for the consumer, right? So they're in support of like townhomes, these single family homes as well, to create the higher density to support the growing population and the immigration into Mission.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So no speculation there. This is get in, get going,
absolutely.
and provide homes.
Provide homes. That's it.
awesome.
Yeah. So for me, number 2 now is Maple Ridge, right? Maple Ridge, again, very closely located.
Beautiful city.
Beautiful
I love
city.
Maple
Yeah,
Ridge.
very very closely located to Mission and Abbotsford again, right? So realistically speaking, with Mission, with Maple Ridge as well, we were seeing cap rates originally at that 5% mark, right? They have been decreasing, inching towards 4%, right? So there's a lot of pent up demand. There is in Maple Ridge, so realistically, we're going to see a lot of these. We're going to see a lot of these we're going to see the industrial sector, the multifamily sector, the retail sector growing a lot. As people move further and further out from the lower mainland, it's just natural for these cities to grow. And we're seeing these retail sectors and these industrial sectors grow further and further.
Yeah.
And Maple Ridge is on that higher density plan and that outlook. So
Yeah.
they are looking towards, at least in specific corridors, right? And are looking towards higher density communities because they want to support it. And lots of developers are working in Maple Ridge right now to provide those. And one of those being large developers is Polygon, right? Which is transitioning to Mission slowly as well. So lots of growth opportunities here. I do also just want to say, following my lead from Kelowna, Kamloops, Chilliwack, Maple Ridge, Mission, I'm talking about a lot of different destinations. But realistically speaking, there's a lot of schooling here. There's a lot of universities that go into the mix here, right? Because we see that immigration, like we talked about last time, is very closely related to student enrollment in universities, and how the student enrollment overall transitions into them becoming citizens and immigrants as well, right? So these cities are just growing because of the universities that we have, the higher enrollment that we're seeing internationally and locally. So a lot of room for poised growth in the commercial world when it comes to these different destinations.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of immigration coming in here. If you're committed on living in BC or let's say the lower mainland Fraser Valley area,
right?
There's a commitment there.
Yeah.
There's family here or whatnot. There's no one else. You've come here to, reside here.
Right.
There's going to be a strong shift towards the cities that you're talking about because of affordability reasons. Yeah. And the people that are committed on staying in BC or those areas that Penn mentioned, they're going to go towards the Abbotsford. I mentioned the King of the East on this side of the river. And you know what? On the other side of the Fraser River and the North Shore line, the King of the East is Maple Ridge.
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And Maple Ridge, Mission, and they're obviously going to get a lot of people get priced out from Coquitlam and the North Shore area.
Yeah, and I mean, just to touch base on Chilliwack again a little bit, right? Like you were talking about, like just for the example of students and housing international students and things of that nature, Chilliwack has UFE. Kelowna has Okanagan College, has UBCO. Kamloops has a whole bunch of other universities that I don't even know about, right? Yeah. But realistically speaking, it's all poised and supported with this international enrollment of students coming into our communities, and of course supporting them through again education, and then of course through work afterwards once they've immigrated here, because we're one of the countries that allows this transition from being a student to being an immigrant. Right, so we're seeing all these communities grow as a result of that, and we're seeing a lot of poised growth pent up in BC from these multiple different locations.
Yeah, I mean, even Surrey's major campuses that are coming, SFU, UBC, everybody,
Kwantlen, right?
Kwantlen, they're all going to be in the downtown core.
Absolutely.
And then the Golden Years Bridge to Maple Ridge is 20 minutes.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. So we're very closely located, and I mean, there's lots of opportunity for growth. So. Number one, we're going to talk about it, right?
We are here.
Pent up demand for number one, right? So let's talk about it. So number one, we go to the island, right?
Yes, sir. We're jumping on a ferry.
We're jumping on a ferry. We're heading on the boat, right?
We're on the Pacific.
Yeah, there you go. So we head to Victoria.
Victoria.
Right? I'm classifying Victoria just not Victoria, the surrounding communities and neighborhoods. The reason for this is logistics, government jobs, the tech sector, and overall the residential demand we've seen,
Yeah.
and a lot of supply of housing coming in the Victoria region, right? So when I say Victoria, we're talking about Langford, we're talking about overall Victoria as well. We're
Vancouver
talking about
Island entirely.
We're talking about entire Vancouver Island entirely, right? So overall logistics, because we're gonna take a boat to get there anyways, right? Logistics from a boat perspective, it's very busy out there in Victoria. When
Beautiful
it comes to
waterfront city. I mean,
Absolutely.
a lot may question me on Kelowna being my second best waterfront property, but Victoria
is
Nanaimo,
beautiful when it comes to that, right? So, and then on top of that, we got the government sector as well. It's the capital BC at the end of the day, right? So the government sector tends to be the strongest tenant and the most anchor tenant in Victoria and in that region. So it provides a lot of job opportunities, job growth, right? So we see a lot of that there, and we saw Victoria once when it was at 5% cap rates. Now Victoria is inching closer and closer to 3% cap rates and growing significantly over the last 5, 6, 7 years. With the strong development that's going on, like I mean, like in Langford, for example, condo absorption has been ridiculous, right? Developers,
that city has been going off.
It's been
20 minutes away from Victoria.
20 minutes, yeah, exactly.
So it's a neighboring city.
It's close proximity, right? And it's got that town-like, suburban-like feel when Victoria is kind of like the larger city, kind of like how Surrey would be to Vancouver, kind of.
It's close mountain range as well, like
Langford, I think. No, it is.
Or hilly.
It's a little bit hilly. That's right. Yeah. So with that said, like I mean, the developers, as they've been launching these products, they've seen the massive condo absorption. They sold out absurdly quickly. These projects have been sold out, so there's that pent up demand for residential. Only what that means is, commercial. There's a link, right? And with that said, like at the end of the day, because of the logistics factor and the fact that Victoria is on the island and we're going to take a boat to get there, there's a lot of industrial space that's required for logistics-oriented businesses, for government-associated exports, imports, stuff of that nature I was
reading an article that Nanaimo is now $3 million an acre. For industrial.
Well, see, that's the thing with industrial. Industrial is one of those asset classes that's been growing across the board, right? If you're not looking at locations and you're specifically wanting to invest in one class alone, that would be industrial in my opinion, just because we've seen low vacancy rates across the board. There's pent-up demand. There's not enough supply to provide to catch up to it. So it's just...
So for just the industrial class alone... Out of those top 5, now for that class alone, what is your new top pick, or does it still
for industrial
stay?
Itself?
Or does it still stay with Victoria?
I would say Chilliwack.
Okay, all right.
For industrial, my personal opinion. And again, that's not backed by any stats or anything of that nature. That's just my opinion on its own, because I'm referring to Chilliwack in the logistics sense, kind of how I...
That's where you would invest if you had some money.
Exactly, right? For industrial itself, right? Gotcha. And with the expansion of Molson, with logistics industry, like I talked about, being disconnected from the lower mainland, and how, how kind of it takes a while to get from Chilliwack to the lower mainland. So these logistics companies, these transportation companies are setting up offices there, so they're more closely located to the BC interior and to the Alberta.
Right? I have clients that bought in Chilliwack industrial property. They're in the car parts business, selling and repairing cars and all that. So, and they've loved it. They've seen tremendous growth and appreciation. And I love your pick with Chilliwack. That's awesome.
That's my personal opinion. And again, Victoria, just to go back to my number one, again, there's a university there. UVic had a 40% increase in enrollment, right? So with that said, there is definitely opportunity for growth. And what we're seeing is these
with the overflowing students, Surrey, it makes sense.
It's only natural, right? so with UVic seeing this increase, right, what we're seeing is that these students, they take up student housing. Eventually, once they're done being students and they're in the workforce, they're not leaving Victoria. They're staying there, right? Because there is opportunity for growth. There are jobs that are being created across multiple industries. So overall, the market's growing in the Victoria area for residential properties, for multifamily, and industrial's already growing, like I said, which will ultimately mean retail is growing, because if there's more population, more individuals, we need more businesses, more retail-focused businesses as well. So that's that. It was a great discussion today. I think we went a little bit longer than expected. but I think it was needed as it's a long list and important list of areas that we personally think are important to invest in.
Yeah, for sure.
Right,
Chet,
so-
if you wouldn't mind, before we wrap up, just recap your top 5 commercially for
Absolutely.
our listeners, please.
Yeah, so for my top 5, number 5, I had Kelowna and Kamloops, the Okanagan region. Number 4, I would say Chilliwack. Number 3, we had Mission. Number 2, we had Maple Ridge. And number 1, we call it Vancouver Greater Island, Victoria.
Victoria, capital of BC.
There you
That's
go.
awesome. That is great. That wraps up episode 5, guys. We gave you our top 5 picks on the residential side and the commercial side. And we want to thank you guys all for listening and tuning in. If you guys ever want to reach out to us directly, you know how to do it. Information's below. Brightcap Financial, City Center Mortgages. And on that note, guys, we're going to wrap it up with us, letting you guys know that please just remember everything discussed during these episodes, not financial advice, just information to educate you guys, the consumers, drawn from our personal and business experiences. If you have any specific questions about your financial situation, again, please contact us anytime.
Absolutely.
And we will be back for the next episode.
Yeah, that's for sure. See you guys soon, and like, subscribe, comment, review, whatever it is across all platforms. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah. If you made it to the end of the video on YouTube, thank you. Please
Thank you so
share
much.
and subscribe.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.